So my first video will be about what is a startup, because not everyone understands what it means, and not everyone understands the difference between a startup and a business. And there is a very big difference. I do not say that a business is not something interesting, or you don't have to pursue creating a business. Of course, if you do something and now you realize, oh, actually I do a business but not a startup, keep going, keep doing, because every entrepreneur that created a unicorn or a very big startup, before that, he or she usually tried to create startups that turned out to be businesses. And maybe were not very successful, maybe were closed, but maybe also brought lots of money. But what is more important, that brought their founders lots of experience. And all these experience was gathered in one, I don't know, folder in your head, and will help you to create one day a startup. Or maybe not, because having a good business that brings you money is also very good. But I have to highlight that a startup and a business are two different things. Why so? Why I think it is this way? First of all, because a startup is always about a huge market. The market for startup is always huge. It's very big. In the US, it's usually starting from several $billion. So try to evaluate your market. If you sell some kind of something to some particular industry or some clients that can be counted, and the market is tens of millions of dollars, that's just a very good business. Usually a startup really penetrates into the market that is very big. Also, this is the first point. Second point, a startup creates some new business model that changes the way people behave. Let's think about Airbnb. Before Airbnb appeared on the market, people would rent their apartment when they were traveling some other way. They would call some agencies and ask whether they have some apartments available. They would go online and look for some small websites, or maybe they would even call directly to their friends. So the way they behaved, Airbnb completely changed that way. So now when you want to go and travel somewhere, or you go on a business trip, you use either Booking.com or Airbnb as a marketplace where you look for all different kinds of offers, and you choose among those offers. So your behavior completely changed. And that's about a startup. Usually a startup comes to some industry and just kills all the competitors, all the players that existed on this market before, changing the behavior. That's very important. Let's think about Uber or any other competitor, Get Taxi. What were we doing before those marketplaces of taxis appeared? We would call some local services. There were some people, operators sitting there and ask, at least in Russia, that's how it worked. They would call taxi drivers and ask them if they have time slots available. So that was a lot about people. Yeah, people was a very, were in this system, you would pay lots of salaries for those people who were sitting there and operating this business. Let's think about Uber. What happened? Now we only need our smartphone, and we do not communicate with people too much. We have like a marketplace of taxi drivers, and we choose whichever. Well, I mean, taxi driver always chooses us, but we offer something and we get some supply for that. Who would imagine 10 years ago that we used a smartphone to find taxi, also to see how the taxi driver, where he's allocated, how he moves, and when will he come? So all these questions are now answered by one app in our phone. So that's about a startup. It's a very big market, and we change the behavior of this market, and we kill other businesses that had very old-fashioned business models. And the last but not the least, in the startup reality, a company, a venture has to grow very fast. Usually a business also grows, but it might be 10% per month, then there is no growth, and maybe after 2-3 years the growth is very, very slow. With a startup, during the first 2-3 years you have to grow 100, 200, 300% per year, sometimes 100% month to month. So that's about a startup. It's a very big growth that needs lots of money, venture money, a special evaluation of a startup as a venture startup that would help this startup to grow dramatically month to month. So I would say these are the most important things: the market size, growth, and business model that changes the market. Also, startup always needs venture money, and there is a big difference between venture money and just equity or investment from just simple investors. But that's another story. So think about it. Are you doing a startup or are you doing a business? As I have said, nothing wrong with a business. And also, I do not believe that you can take a business and make a startup out of a business. But very often you can make a business out of a startup. That was my case. My first startup was in a meal kit delivery business, and as I have said in my first video, I made lots of mistakes with this venture, and one of the mistakes was not to look for venture capital. And while I was involved in operations, doing everything instead of being a real founder of a startup, I didn't do the most important thing. I wasn't looking for venture capital. And a couple of competitors appeared on the market, and they took venture money, which allowed them to grow very fast, like dramatically. And that was a mistake. And I would suggest you, as you feel that you are on a startup market, and like big market, lots of opportunity, lots of growth opportunity, not that many competitors, you have a very unique business model, go and look for venture money. That's the most important part for every founder. What happened to me, we became a business. We were generating some good revenue in terms of Russian market. There was some growth from time to time, but because this market really needs lots of investment in marketing, we were not able to compete with other companies. And eventually, after 6 years, we sold this startup. We learned lots of things that we implemented in Via Delivery, in my current startup, that is evolving according to venture practices. I'm very happy about that. But if you feel like that your startup is going to the business direction, try and look for venture money and try to, just give it some push. Please write your comments. What would be interesting for you to hear? Subscribe to my channel. Good luck with your ventures. Bye.